Welcome student, myself Professor Ghule AB, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, Ghule Education Society's College of Pharmacy, Sonai. Today I will deliver the lecture on antihistaminic. First of all, we've seen what is meant by antihistaminics, what causes allergies and what are the antihistamine, how it is released and its a biosynthesis. History of the antihistaminics and classes, which are the different classifications depending upon the chemical nature of the antihistaminics, and the future prospect of antihistaminics and especially the receptors H3 and the H4s. What is meant by antihistamine? Antihistamine is the drug that reduces or eliminates the effect of the mediated chemical substances like histamine especially on the different physiological functions on different systems of the body. Histamine is released from our body during the allergic reactions whenever any tissue or the cell get damaged. At that time histamine is released and its effect on different types of the physiological systems. Then antihistamines also compete to the binding to the different types of the receptors, and especially this receptor which is responsible for the binding to the histamine gives the different physiological disorders like allergies and the common colds. As what is meant by allergies? I already explained or already I have using the word allergies. Allergies are nothing but the allergies are caused by the different types of the hypersensitivity reactions which is caused by especially the antibody immunoglobulin E, which is responsible for the antihistaminic disorders. Next, what an allergen? Allergen is nothing but it is one of the pathogen or the entry of any noxious substances enter into the body and causes the different types of the allergies. So where this histamine gets stored? Histamine is stored into the mast cells and basically in the WBCs, basophils, and which is circulate in the body and transmit the disease or transmit the disorder from one place to another place. So mast cell is the basic storage of histamine. As the structure of the histamine you display here, which is nothing but the imidazole nucleus, which is ethylene bridge at the center, and NH2 due to its basic nature of NH2 group present on the para position is in the basic property. So next one, how the histamine gets synthesized in the body. Histamine is synthesized from the body due to the different types of the diets which gives the histidine is one of the essential amino acid, and this histidine whenever undergoes metabolism by the different types of histidine decarboxylase enzyme and convert the histidine into the histamine, and this histamine basically store, as already I have told, in the mast cells and the basophils of the WBCs. Then what are different types of the histamine receptors? As already histamine physiological actions of histamine is over, its release and its synthesis is over. Then what are the different types of the histamine receptors? Histamine receptors are nothing but depending upon the affinity of the histamine towards the different types of the endogenous or the proteins present in the body. Depending upon that, there are 4 types of the histamine receptors: H1, H2, H3 and the H4. Out of that, H1 receptor, which is basically located in the endothelial or the vascular cells in the heart and the CNS. H1 receptor having the different types of the proteins, which is G coupled protein receptor, which is get attached to that histamine receptors, and due to that different antihistaminic agents are attached to this G protein coupled receptors. Then its effect, it definitely increases the inflammations as well as the vascular permeability in the blood vessels. Then next one, it's a treatment like allergic asthma. Then sleep disorders are related to the H1 receptors. H2 receptor are basically located in the central nervous system, heart and in the uterus. It is also coupled with the G protein receptors, and it's a different types of the effect. Whatever you seen here, increase the release of the gastric acid, and which is responsible for the development of the peptic ulcer. At the same time, which is the main treatment for the peptic ulcer is the stomach ulcers. This is duodenal or the gastrointestinal ulcer. Then move towards the next receptor is the H3 receptor, which is also located in the intestine, testes and different types of the uterus part. But this H3 receptors just discovered that there are G protein coupled receptors are get attached to the H3, but there is no any unknown treatment because the disorder is not known due to the causing by the H3 receptors. Then move towards the H4. This H4 receptor recently discovered in 2000, and these receptors just said that this is also contain the G protein coupled receptor, also the treatment is unknown here. Maybe sometimes the rheumatoid arthritis and irritable bowel syndrome, that is IBS. The next one, why it is important, why you should go for the antihistaminic, why should you know the histamine and its release and the biosynthesis? Because as allergies is very common in the America, 20 millions of the peoples per year undergoes this particular types of the disorders like the common cold, and due to that the 60% of the peoples develop the allergies for the different internal and the external stimuli. So this topic is due to this important for here. Then what are the clinical uses of antihistaminics? As antihistaminics are used in the allergic reactions like allergic rhinitis, common cold, allergic conjunctivitis means pink eyes is the disorder caused by the histamine release, allergic dermatological conditions, urticaria, and basically the sedation is also one of the important side effect of the antihistaminic. Next one, what are the different types of the adverse effects? As already I have told, the sedation, which is the common side effect which is caused by the overdoses of the antihistaminics, then dizziness, euphoria, anxiety, and the tremor and the dry mouth is also the side effects of the antihistaminics. Then, which is the first antihistaminic compound which is discovered, which is discovered in the 1957 by the piperoxene is one of the first antihistaminic get discovered and get the Nobel Prize for that. Then classes of the antihistaminic is very important depending upon the generations, means maybe the some are non-sedative, non-selective in actions, and some are selective, sedative in actions. Depending upon that, the histamines are classified. First one is the first generation of H1 receptor antagonist, means H1 and H2 are the prominent receptor which is responsible for the different types of the disorders. Then H1 receptor, in that the first class is ethylene diamines, ethanolamines, alkenolamines, piperazines, and the tricyclics ring systems. In that first one is the structural features. Whenever you go for the H1 antihistaminic receptor, what are the main basic structural difference between them? Whenever the spacer, this particular point is very important one, because two benzene rings are attached to the heteroatom, that is X stands for the heteroatom, and the spacer is nothing but the different ethylene bridge which is located in between this nitrogen and the heteroatom, which is R1 and R2 are related to the alkyl groups, or maybe the any alkyl heteroatom which is attached to the R1 and the R2. So these are the structural features of the antihistaminic agents of H1 generation. Then ethylene diamines, first class. Ethylene diamines name indicates two amines are attached together in between the ethylene bridge. So this is nothing but the spacer, which is already we have seen. Ethylene diamines, which contains the clinically used like mepiramine, which is also called as pyrilamine, is one of the first drug of choice from the ethylene diamines category. Then second class is the ethanolamines, name indicates ethylene bridge also present, but nolamines means alkyl group or the ketonic group is attached to the amines, and the basic example from this class is the diphenhydramine, means generally it is the Benadryl solution or the suspension, is it? So it is the very old and the most effective H1 antihistaminic first generation is the diphenhydramine. Then ethanolamines again continue for the carbinostamine. Then doxylamine succinate, which is also one of the same category of the drug as compared to the this diphenhydramine. Then clemastine and the diphenhydrinate is also one of the examples from the ethanolamines category. Then alkylamines. Alkylamines are very important class of the first H1 generation of antihistaminics, because the isomerism means one compound present in two isomeric form, which is very important for the binding to the receptor site, and depending upon that, this alkylamines having the isomerism property, and due to that property of isomerism, it perfectly bind to that particular receptor and give its potent action as an antihistaminic. Alkylamines, chlorpheniramine and brompheniramine, these are the drug from this particular class of alkylamines, and basically used for the different types of the allergic conditions, as well as the brompheniramine is used in the sneezing and the runny nose, as well as the watery eyes, which is caused by the allergic reactions of histamine. The next class also is the alkylamines, where the triphlolidine and the pheniramine is Avil is the name of brand name for that, Avil, which contain the pheniramine, which is also used as a in urticaria conditions as well as flu-like symptoms. The next one is the piperazine derivatives or the piperazine ring. as the piperazine nucleus present in this particular compound, like cyclizine, cyclic nature, two aromatic rings are bind together to the piperazine nucleus, and these are also the effective for the motion sickness, vertigo, as well as different types of the symptom which is caused by the motion sickness. Then chlorcyclazine is another compound from this piperazine category. Then meclizine and the cetirizine, which is also important constituent of H1 generation, but cetirizine is the first generation of the antihistaminic, which is basically used for the runny nose and the stuffy nose or the watery eyes. Then tricyclics, this is the last first H1 generation antihistaminics. Name indicates tricyclics means three nucleus of the two benzene rings are outside the sulfur with nitrogen, means this particular basic nucleus which is thiol, means sulfur with nitrogen, is get attached to the two benzene ring, and due to that it is called as the tricyclics. And this particular promethazine, which is the prominent class of the drug for basically different types of the allergic asthma which is caused by the histamine release in the particular area, is the prominent drug from this tricyclics ones. Again, cyproheptadine and ketotifen. Ketotifen also having the property of as compared to the antihistaminic, but they are also used as a anti-inflammatory drug from this category, that is of ketotifen, which is the dual purpose, because due to the release of the histamine, not only the antihistaminic or the histamine having give it effect, but it also give the inflammation to that particular patient. So to remove that inflammation, this ketotifen is used as an anti-inflammatory also. Okay. Then tricyclics also, almetamazamine as well as optimine means azadirine. This is also the drug from this category of the tricyclics ones. Then second generation, as the first generations are the 5 classes, that is ethylene diamines, ethanolamines, tricyclics, piperazines. Then second generations of the H1 receptor antagonist. As from this one, second generation antihistaminic agents, as first generation of antihistaminics are less sedative effect, but as compared to that H2 generations, means this H1 receptor or the second generations, they have the less sedative as compared to the first generations. And from this, they are peripherally act, as the first generations are centrally as well as peripherally, but second generation act by peripheral for H1 receptors, and there are common side effects as already I have rolled, that is of stuffy nose, hypersensitivity reactions are the different side effects of the second generations also. From the second generation, the first one is the acrivastine and estimazole. These are the two category of the drugs are utilized for the second generations of antihistaminics. And basically, these second generations antihistaminics are used for the different allergic reactions like common cold and the allergic asthma is there. Then loratadine and the terfenadine, these are also the drug from this class, but the main property of the loratadine is nothing but it can cross the blood-brain barriers, and due to that it gives the drowsiness or the sedation effects. At the same time, terfenadine, which having the effect on cardiac arrhythmias, due to that conditions they are not on the doctor's strip due to these clinical applications. Then third generation H1 receptor antagonist, third generation receptor, basically these are not sedative in actions, they are only used as an antihistaminic, as first generation having the somewhat sedative, second generation less sedative, but this compound of the third generations are the non-sedative in actions. And like example is the levocetirizine, means it is the modified form of the cetirizine, which is the second generation antihistaminic. Levocetirizine is also used as a third generation H1 receptor antagonist. Then again next one is the desloratadine and fexofenadine. These are also the class of the drug from this category. Then the future of antihistaminics means what? If suppose H1 and H2 receptors, as H1 receptor is totally related to the different types of the allergic reactions causing by the common cold as well as in the nasal cavities due to the runny nose and the stuffy nose and the watery eyes. H2 receptors are responsible for the peptic ulcer disease as well as the H. pylori infection. But here this the future prospect name indicates the H3 and the H4 receptor are not so much come in the market because of their unknown mechanism of action. Their treatment and the drugs are not come in the market due to because they exactly the location of H3 and the H4 receptors are not known, as well as they may be contain G coupled protein receptor or not. This will be not identified. So this is nothing but the point for the future prospect of the antihistaminic agents. Thank you so much.